The big CS2 update has finally arrived, and it brings most likely less to the game than some people were hoping for. However, this update still brings some important map fixes, adds the first community maps to CS2, as well as making some quality of life improvement. So without any further delays, let's dive into today's update video. Let's start by talking about the brand new maps. Valve added the 5 community maps to the game, which we recently talked about in a video. Pool Day for the Arms Race mode, Memento and Assembly for Wingman, and for the competitive side of things we received Farah and Mills, which are also available on casual and deathmatch of course. And alongside with those 2 new competitive maps, Valve gave the map-based skill groups an overhaul, which was definitely overdue. As they say, in addition to redistributing players across these skill groups, we've also made it easier to earn those badges in the first place, quote end. Which is really fantastic news to be honest, as it should be much easier now to rank up, which previously felt almost impossible, and players should also now get ranked in a more appropriate skill group than they did before this update. Alongside with those changes, you will also no longer need 10 wins on each map, instead it was reduced down to 2 wins per map, which is once again just a really fantastic change. Good job Valve. Anyways, moving on to the user interface changes. Valve updated the MVP panel on all game modes. You can see how it looked before this update, in comparison to how it looks now after this update. Alongside with this, we've also received 8 brand new MVP panels, specifically for the premier matches. These were showcased very nicely over on Twitter by ALCS, so full credits go to them. We have the general one for getting 3 kills, one for getting 4 kills, one for getting an ace, one for planting the bomb, of course also one for defusing it, one for causing fire damage, and lastly one for grenade damage. With this update we also received some brand new video settings alongside with some setting recommendation pop-ups, one of which you can see on screen right now. This one specifically appears when your display's refresh rate is set below its maximum at startup. Another one can appear when G-Sync support is detected but not enabled on startup either. And the final one can appear if NVIDIA G-Sync is enabled but not V-Sync and or NVIDIA Reflex. Valve explains as to why it's better to have these settings enabled, which is a nice addition in my opinion. The options for the main menu background scenery and item inspect scenery were removed from the video settings, as you can already change them in their respective areas, the main menu, or when inspecting a skin. The refresh rate is now finally being displayed in windowed and full screen window mode, which is a really great change, and Valve ended up removing the laptop power saving mode, which has never actually been configurable in CS2, so it was kind of useless. Alongside with those changes, they've also ended up organizing the advanced video settings by adding a brand new category for frame pacing. In this category they added the NVIDIA G-Sync row, which tells you whether or not G-Sync is active, but for some bizarre reason this one is not visible for me despite using an NVIDIA card. So I'm not entirely sure why this one isn't displayed for me. We also finally received the option to change the maximum FPS for the main menu, as well as the maximum FPS for in-game in the in-game settings. This can be done with the 2 brand new sliders that were added. Lastly, for the video settings, they also changed the default FPS for the main menu from 120 to 200. And the advanced visual preview now uses the in-game maximum FPS instead of the main menu one. Last but not least for today's video, we've received some bug fixes for a couple of the competitive maps. For a lot of these, Valve basically fixed the spots where the C4 could get stuck in, which were showcased very nicely by DuDuck on Twitter, so full credits go to them. Nuke is one of those maps where the bomb could get stuck in certain spots, which Valve fixed with this update. Ancient received the same treatment where Valve fixed some of these spots the C4 could get stuck in, as well as them also fixing some holes in the world and addressing non-solids which were causing some problems. But unfortunately I was unable to find those. For Vertigo, Valve made some clipping fixes, specifically for both catwalk sides where players could previously stand on, as well as also addressing some of the spots where the bomb could get stuck in. And lastly we have Anubis, where Valve fixed grenade collisions as well as making some adjustments to the clipping. Here they fixed one of these self boosts, which was showcased very nicely once again by DuDuck on Twitter. What also confuses me is that Valve did not fix all of the bugs that DuDuck found. As an example, on Mirage you can still get the bomb stuck in certain locations. Valve, please fix. I would also like to mention that he already found some brand new bugs for some of the community maps, which is pretty hilarious, so definitely make sure to follow him. Anyways, that already concludes today's video. I hope it was informative and enjoyable to watch. If so, consider leaving a like and subscribing. And as always, of course, I will see you in the next one.